Welcome back everybody to another episode of Direct Comparison. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Virtuous Studios' remaster of the RPG adventure Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, and see how it stacks up both visually and from a gameplay perspective to the original 2006 classic. For this comparison, both games are being played on a PC, with the graphics settings cranked up to their highest values at a native 4K resolution. For the original game, no graphic-altering mods have been implemented, with the exception being a tweak to improve the game's performance with modern hardware. And for the remaster, I've opted to utilize DLSS set to use deep learning anti-aliasing, as this should boost the quality even further, in addition to enabling hardware ray tracing and frame generation to stabilize performance, the latter of which shouldn't impact any of the still image comparisons. Alright, so let's kick this comparison off by first taking a look at our character models. Of all the necessary improvements, I'd argue that this was the most important for this remaster, as the old Gamebryo era of Bethesda Game Studios' earlier work was arguably always a bit rough around the edges when it came to its characters, even for the time that it released. And with the help of this heavily modified Gamebryo build adapted for Unreal Engine 5, each and every character model, regardless of the faction, race, or species, is beautifully reimagined, with all new meshes, texture maps, shader work, and decorative detail. The Emperor helps to demonstrate these changes very nicely, as his robes are loaded with this kind of detail that it's blurred together in the original game. But we see those details often rendered out as actual assets in the model itself now, rather than being low-res textures. More importantly though, the character's facial model is considerably more complex, with his older, loose skin forming distinct creases and wrinkles along his face, along with new hair cards to add proper depth to his hair and brows, along with his fur-lined collar. Various object models like armor sets, weapons, and items are all completely redone too, which further helps to enhance the look of each NPC in the world, as different item materials like metal armor for example, will properly shine in the daylight, an aspect that was only barely incorporated before using various bloom effects throughout the game. The developers even took that extra step and reanimated all the game's dialogue sequences, keeping the camera from awkwardly zooming in too much, updating the animation of the face as it speaks, and even re-recording dialogue when necessary, while still retaining that original writing. Then we have the environments themselves, that are gorgeously reimagined despite being built to scale with those original locations. This means that every cave network, every valley, every village or city, it's all exactly how you remember it, while still being greatly transformed in the process, with all new textures, geometry, and additional detail helping to fully realize those spaces. The opening tunnels of the game offer a nice assessment of those changes early on, in that these seemingly simple caves and underground castle ruins look like entirely new areas at times, mainly due to the huge uptick in its geometric complexity. I absolutely love the way that the cave walls have been enhanced here, giving them a more natural appearance. Bricks in the walls have more depth than ever before, and feel more unique from one another thanks to additional cracks, breaks, and other imperfections that appeared almost completely uniform before. It's that more ruined, lived-in feel that I think works so well with this remaster, something that the original game always alluded to, but could never fully commit to due to the increased hardware demand at the time. Once you step outside, the improvements are even more apparent. Everything about the environment has been updated, from the draw distance of trees to the trees themselves. No longer are you stuck looking at the same tree copy and pasted for miles around, with those spinning leaf texture sprites attempting to give them depth. Here you have much more varied vegetation, with individually rendered leaves and none of that spinning sprite illusion stuff. The ground itself is littered with 3D rocks and dense grass, that only rarely reveals an ugly, low-res ground texture beneath it, albeit still not even as low-res as those from the original game. You'll also notice some changes to the decor that will directly impact the way you traverse the environment. These big boulders, for example, are changed into less obtrusive scattered rocks and debris here, opening up this sightline a great deal. Additional trees fill the background and change sightlines too, and more complex geometry for the terrain can impact how you travel across the hillsides, with some paths being less obvious than they were before. The lighting is where I believe that there will be a fair bit of discussion regarding whether it's an improvement or too much of a change. Thanks to the lumen lighting effects in Unreal Engine 5, along with more proper global illumination, the world of Oblivion Remastered is lit more realistically, with simulated bounce lighting that helps to greatly improve all those interior areas. The dynamic time of day is also more variable than ever before, allowing for a larger variety of color tones. Though you will find that the general tone of the game feels less contrast heavy as a result. The remaster seems to be passed through some sort of filter, making even pure daylight feel like it's late evening. It's a design choice likely done to evoke some sort of ancient magical feel, though this does seem to run counter to the lighter blue tones of the original. When the sun sets in the original game, it gets a little bit closer to this look, but it's still not quite the same. The remaster also features new, thick, volumetric light shafts that help to really accentuate those dungeon sequences, along with brand new light volumes never featured before, that highlight important environmental assets previously cast in shadow. Dynamic lighting from things like lanterns and torches are also more advanced, and will not only cast light realistically against environmental surfaces, but also project real-time shadows as well. Speaking of shadows, we also see a massive increase to the shadow count on screen at any given time, a result of Lumen helping to cast shadows for nearly every detail in the environment, along with more realistic soft shadows for models and objects. The shadow draw distances are also bumped up a huge amount, which helps to add significantly more depth to distant hillsides and structures than in the original game. Unsurprisingly, effects have also been massively overhauled here. Water simulation was a big standout, with the great surface interaction effects, a mix of ray-traced and SSR surface reflections, and even brand new water volumes in areas that help to enhance the dungeon space further. The fire effects actually hold up really well in the original Oblivion, especially the fire alphas that are animated extremely well. The remasters are also very good, and with new volumetric smoke effects that reflect ambient light, coupled with new particle effects and these great glowing ember effects for the base of the fire, these random fire pits, torches, and braziers look even better than they ever did before. And I love how they'll flicker against the wall surfaces with nice diffused shadows for their housing. Particles in general play a decent role throughout Oblivion thanks to the various magical effects. And with the increased particle density in the remaster, this looks even more impressive on screen, and heightens the chaos of combat encounters with magic throwing enemies. So, what other changes other than the graphics are at play here? Well, on the surface, Oblivion Remastered plays pretty much the same as it always has. The story's identical, with some changes to the animations and voiceover lines that I mentioned earlier. Though the second-to-second gameplay is more or less exactly the same. They did add in a more modernized UI system that feels more in line with something out of Skyrim, with easy-to-toggle tabs using shoulder buttons, and simpler hotkey assignment and item dropping. The combat has also been tweaked a little bit, with swordplay featuring new impact effects and enemy reactions to them, changing the flow slightly. You can't just swing back and forth, for example, as there's new thrusting animations thrown in that interrupt that constant swinging animation. The new crosshair also helps to make bows a more practical weapon to use this time around, along with other ranged attacks like magic casting. There also appears to be changes made to the third-person gameplay, for players that prefer that perspective, with smoother animations, especially when moving diagonally, and better control for combat. But aside from those changes and a few adjustments to the UI, the remaster should still deliver that full Oblivion experience just as you remember it, and with all the DLC included. Finally, let's wrap up with a brief sound comparison. Which version do you feel has the best sound quality and design?
Stand back, prisoner. We won't hesitate to kill you if you get in our way.
No sign of pursuit. Stay put, prisoner.
Good. Let's go. We're not out of this yet.
You. I've seen you. Let me see your face. You are the one from my dreams. Then the stars were right. And this is the day. Gods give me strength.
Stand back, prisoner. We won't hesitate to kill you if you get in our way.
No sign of pursuit, sir. Stay put, prisoner.
Good. Let's go. We're not out of this yet.
You. I've seen you. Let me see your face. You are the one from my dreams. Then the stars were right. And this is the day. Gods give me strength.
Brothers Urjabi and Rajarad, and I, Hasiri, we bring the news of the Empire to the people of the Empire. Fast, fast! Here, have a copy. It's free, always free. We're funded by the Elder Council, so I don't mind, really.
The Black Horse Courier, Brothers Urjabi and Rajirad, and I, Hasiri. We bring the news of the Empire to the people of the Empire. Fast, fast. Here, have a copy. It's free. Always free. We're funded by the Elder Council, so I don't mind, really.
The Mirillans treat everyone well. There's something strange about Ida Lenormand. I heard she was climbing up the chapel just so she could jump off. Maybe she could teach me how to fall off things. That's a useful skill. Much better than, say, swinging a sword or casting a fireball. Take care. Be seen.
Spare a coin for the infirm.
We are all talking about the Emperor's murder.
The whole
We have
chapel
no Emperor
desecrated.
and no
Oh,
heir.
the gods!
That's never
No
happened
doubt.
before.
Take care.
You too.
I suppose we should all be worried. So I've heard. What's the news from the other parts of Tamriel? Nothing I'd like to talk about. Take care. Take care.
And that wraps up this episode of Direct Comparison. Overall, Oblivion Remastered is a surprisingly robust update to a major classic experience. The game is basically a remaster in name only, as everything about it has been remade from the bottom up, with brand new models, environmental assets, textures, lighting, shadowing, and effects, along with much needed quality of life upgrades. But what do you guys think? Are you interested in checking out this remaster, or did you expect more? Let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this posted every week.